Hello and welcome. If you want to learn how to stay healthy, both mentally and physically, make sure to subscribe and smash that like button. It tells YouTube that you enjoy the content and helps our community grow. There are people walking around right now who are unknowingly shortening their own lives simply by refusing to look in the mirror with honesty. It sounds harsh, but the reality is that fighting the natural process of aging is more than just vanity. It is a source of chronic stress that eats away at your heart, spikes your cortisol levels, and depletes your immune system. Those who cling desperately to the past, who wage a daily war against the clock, often find themselves exhausted and bitter long before their physical time is actually up. If you do not learn to make peace with the passage of time, the resistance itself becomes a disease that no medicine can cure, and it might just cost you the vibrant years you have left. Today, we are going to explore a completely different approach to health and longevity, one that doesn't rely on expensive creams, rigorous gym routines, or magical supplements. We are going to discuss the mental and spiritual framework necessary for a healthy old age, based on profound ancient wisdom that redefines what it means to be well. This discussion is about shifting your perspective from a battleground to a sanctuary, turning the inevitable changes of your body into a source of strength rather than a cause for despair. Please stay with me until the very end of this lecture, because I am going to share a surprising physiological fact about aging that contradicts everything you have been told about getting older, and it might just change your entire outlook on the next decade of your life. Have you ever looked at your reflection and felt a sudden jolt of panic because the face staring back isn't the one you remember from your wedding photos or your college graduation? That moment of dissonance is where the trouble begins. We spend so much energy trying to freeze moments, trying to preserve a version of ourselves that has already drifted downstream. This resistance is what the Buddha called the root of suffering, and in terms of physical health, this suffering manifests as tension, high blood pressure, and anxiety. The first lesson in true health for the elderly is accepting that you will be forgotten faster than you think, and realizing that this is actually a tremendous relief. It sounds depressing at first, doesn't it? We work all our lives to build a legacy, to make a name, to feel important, but the stress of maintaining that importance is a heavy burden to carry for a heart that is growing older. Imagine you are holding a heavy stone above your head. You can do it for a minute, maybe an hour, but if you try to hold it for 40 years, your muscles will tear and your bones will fracture. The desire to be permanently remembered is that heavy stone. There is a story of a wise old monk who lived in the mountains, and when a young student asked him if he was sad that his name would vanish after death, the monk simply pointed to the rushing river nearby. He asked the student where the water from yesterday had gone. The water had flown on, yet the river remained. This is how we must view our health and our lives. We are the current, not the specific drops of water. When you stop obsessing over your legacy and your importance, you drop the stone. Your shoulders relax, your breathing deepens, and your heart rate settles. This state of relaxation is the foundation of physical health in your later years. You are not a statue built to stand forever. You are a river meant to flow. A single candle can light 1,000 others without losing its own flame, and in the same way, your health is maintained not by hoarding your energy for a legacy, but by spending it freely on kindness and presence right now. Now let's talk about the vessel you are traveling in. Your body will eventually betray the expectations you have for it, and if you treat this natural change as an enemy, you will live in a state of constant war. You used to run up the stairs 2 at a time, and now perhaps your knees protest if you stand up too quickly. It is easy to feel angry at your own joints, to feel let down by the very legs that carried you this far. But consider this association. If you had a loyal dog that walked by your side for 80 years, protecting you and comforting you, Would you kick it when it finally started to limp? Of course not. You would treat it with extra gentleness and gratitude. Your body is that loyal companion. There is a beautiful parable about a water-bearer who had two large pots, each hung on the ends of a pole which he carried across his neck. One of the pots had a crack in it, while the other pot was perfect and always delivered a full portion of water. At the end of the long walk from the stream to the house, the cracked pot arrived only half full. This went on daily for 2 years, with the bearer delivering only 1.5 pots of water to his master's house. The poor cracked pot was ashamed of its own imperfection and miserable that it could only do half of what it had been made to do. But the bearer said to the pot, "Did you notice that there were flowers only on your side of the path, but not on the other pot's side? That's because I have always known about your flaw, so I planted flower seeds on your side of the path, and every day while we walk back, you water them." Your aging body is like that cracked pot. It may not hold as much energy as it once did. It may leak a little strength here and there, but it is still capable of nourishing the world around you in ways you might not expect. This is the secret to physical longevity. Stop trying to force your body to be a brand new machine. Be the cracked pot that waters the flowers. Listen to the creaks and groans, not as failures, but as requests for rest and care. When you befriend your body instead of fighting it, you lower the inflammation in your system that comes from stress and self-loathing. You move with more awareness, preventing falls and injuries because you are in tune with your limitations rather than in denial of them. If you are finding value in this perspective and you want to continue exploring how to turn the challenges of aging into a source of wisdom and health, please take a moment right now to subscribe to our channel and hit the like button. It helps us reach more people who might be struggling with these very changes, and it helps you stay connected to a community that values depth over superficiality. Moving forward, we must address the social aspect of health, which changes drastically as we age. There is a direct link between loneliness and poor health outcomes, almost as strong as the link between smoking and lung disease. However, there is a difference between being alone and feeling abandoned. As you get older, you will notice that you cannot keep everyone in your life. Friends drift away, family gets busy, and circles shrink. If you internalize this as a personal failure, you create a toxicity in your mind that affects your digestion, your sleep, and your nerves. Think of your social life like a garden. In the spring of your life, everything grows wild and fast, weeds and flowers intertwine. But as autumn approaches, the garden naturally dies back. This isn't a tragedy, it's a necessary pruning. The Buddhist teachings remind us that relationships are impermanent, just like the seasons. When people leave your life, it is not always a rejection. Often, their part in your story is simply complete. A young monk once watched leaves floating down a river and asked why they couldn't stay together. The master explained that the water that separates them is the same water that brought them together. For your mental health, which is the command center for your physical health, you must learn to let go of the relationships that have run their course without bitterness. Bitterness is a poison you drink expecting the other person to die. Instead, focus your remaining energy on the few deep connections that remain. A 2-hour conversation with one true friend is infinitely better for your brain health than superficial chatter with 20 acquaintances. Cherish the neighbor who waves, the grandchild who calls, the partner who sits in silence with you. These are the nutrients your heart needs now. Now, we must confront the mirror again. You must accept that you no longer look young, and you must realize that this is actually a gift. The anti-aging industry is a multi-billion-dollar machine designed to make you feel sick when you are perfectly healthy. They tell you that wrinkles are a symptom of decline. But let's look at this through a different lens. Imagine a cheap plastic table. When it gets scratched, it looks like garbage. Now imagine a majestic, antique oak table. The scratches, the wear, the darkening of the wood, this is called patina, and it makes the table more valuable, not less. You are not plastic. You are oak. There's a story of an elderly woman who cried to a master that she had become invisible because her beauty had faded. The master took her to a cherry blossom tree and then to an ancient, twisted pine tree. He asked her which was beautiful. She admitted the pine had a dignity and strength the fragile blossoms lacked. Your gray hair is a crown of survival. Your wrinkles are the map of every time you laughed, cried, or squinted at the sun. When you accept your appearance, you stop pumping cortisone into your blood every time you see a reflection. You carry yourself with the dignity of the pine, and that confidence actually changes your posture, improves your balance, and projects a vitality that no facelift can mimic. Finally, there is the hardest lesson, the one that impacts our health most deeply: handling loss. As you age, you will see more people you love die. The grief can feel like a physical blow, literally stunning the heart muscle, a condition known medically as broken heart syndrome. To survive this and maintain your own will to live, you must understand that love never dies. The Buddha sent a grieving mother to find a mustard seed from a house that had never known death, and she returned empty-handed but wise. She realized that grief is the price of admission for love. If you try to move on too quickly or suppress the pain, it will manifest as illness in your body. But if you understand that the people you lost live on in your memory and in your actions, the grief transforms into gratitude. Have you ever smelled a perfume and suddenly felt your mother was in the room? That is the connection surviving. Moving forward does not mean forgetting, it means carrying them with you. This perspective protects your heart from despair. It allows you to keep living, keep walking, and keep loving, which is the ultimate exercise for a healthy heart. So, why does all of this matter for your health? Because the battle against reality is the most exhausting thing a human being can do. When you surrender to the flow of the river, when you befriend your body, when you prune your garden, accept your patina, and carry your love forward, you unlock a reservoir of energy that was previously wasted on fear. You sleep better, your blood pressure regulates, your immune system isn't constantly fighting stress hormones. And now, as promised, here is that interesting fact I wanted to share with you. Psychologists and researchers have discovered something called the U-bend of happiness. You might think that people are happiest when they are young and healthy, and that happiness declines as they get old and frail. But the data shows the exact opposite. Happiness tends to be high in youth, dips to its lowest point in middle age when we are stressed about careers and money, and then, surprisingly, it starts to shoot up again after the age of 50. By the time people reach their 70s and 80s, they often report higher levels of satisfaction and happiness than they did in their 20s. Why? Because they've stopped fighting. They have accepted the very lessons we discussed today. They have realized that while the body slows down, the spirit becomes lighter. So, do not fear the years ahead. Statistically speaking, the happiest days of your life might actually be waiting for you right around the corner.